Welcome to the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. Get ready to be inspired, uplifted, and connected to the miraculous energy of unconditional love that I call Mother Mary. If you're a highly sensitive, highly creative entrepreneur or light worker, and you want to magnify your impact and your intuition, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Reverend Frances Faden, interfaith minister, intuitive coach, and author of Meditation is Friendship with God. I can't wait to share miraculous stories, books, meditations, messages, and interviews with other miraculous light workers just like you. Are you ready to magnify your miracles? What are we waiting for? Let's get started. Hello, my miraculous friend. This is Reverend Frances Faden. And before I bring on the interview for today and my guest for today, I just wanted to take a few moments before the actual interview starts to just connect with you and tell you a little bit about today's guest, who is, I'm just so excited to share with you. Not only is she an international singer-songwriter, she's Grammy nominated, she's award-winning, she's a political activist. She just lives her heart out loud every day. And it's such a great privilege for me to not only introduce you to her, but to call her one of my dearest friends. I met Sonia of Disappear Fear when I was 20 years old. I was in college in Baltimore, and she was in a band at the time called Exhibit A. And I just was like, wow, she's amazing. And I really admired her. At that point in my life, I had wanted to be a musician, a professional musician, and a rock star. And so we became friends. And Sonia really decided to do more than just music. She decided that she wanted her music to have a message, and that message is disappear fear. And she says, if we could disappear fear between people, all that would be left is love. And so she's dedicated her whole life to that message. As you'll hear in the interview, she's really humble. She's not going to toot her own horn a lot at all. And you might be wondering, like, why am I bringing on a singer-songwriter on the Magnify Your Miracles podcast? And I'll tell you why. It's because of the way she lives her life and who she is, and also her amazing music. Sonia is somebody who magnifies her miracles everywhere she goes. She inspires people to come out and be true to who they are. She inspires people to say yes to their gifts. She inspires people to say no to oppression and injustice. And she inspires all of us to be the truth of who we are. And to me, that's one of the biggest miracles of all. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of an inside peek about what this interview is going to be. We're going to be sharing a lot of stories. She's a great storyteller, and she's going to be singing some songs for you. So I really encourage you, if you're like me, you're highly sensitive, you're highly creative, you can get a lot of inspiration from just being with somebody who's been living her life full time, supporting herself and traveling the world as an artist, as a highly sensitive person. And I know her, so I know that her spirituality also really informs everything that she does. You're going to be really inspired. At least I hope you're going to be really inspired knowing somebody and connecting with somebody who's so clearly doing what they're here on the planet to do. My heart was so full at the end of this interview, and I hope that yours is too. So thank you so much, my friend. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy this time of Magnifying Miracles with Sonia of Disappear Fear. Hello, my miraculous friend, and welcome to another episode of the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. This is Reverend Frances Faden, and I'm so excited to be with you today, and I'm so grateful that you're going to get to meet one of the most amazing people on the planet and a very good friend of mine, Sonia of Disappear Fear. And we're going to be doing something a little different today. Rather than just having an interview, we're also going to be having some music, live concert right here on the podcast. I'm so excited. But before we do all that, let's get ourselves centered and grounded. Take a few deep breaths together. And just allowing ourselves to let go of whatever happened before we got here and tuned in, whatever's going to happen later. If you're driving, please keep your eyes open, but you can still focus on your breath. And just start to feel that you're creating a space within yourself to receive this inspiration, to receive this music, to receive this story. knowing that whatever it is that you need to hear, whatever it is that will really fill up your heart today is exactly what's going to be happening. So let's take one more deep breath together in gratitude, and we can begin. All righty. Well, welcome back once again, my friends. I want to introduce you to a very, very dear friend of mine who happens to be one of the people on the planet who I think magnifies her miracles every day in the work that she does. And I've known her for quite a while, so I can attest to her story and how she has really lived her purpose, which is one of the things that you and I, as highly sensitive, highly creative people, we're all aspiring to do. So I really want you to take in not even just her story, but her energy, because she's really amazing. So my friend is Sonia Rutstein. She is a world-class composer and artist. She's won so many awards, like 6 Grammy Awards, one for being Female Artist of the Year, an award for the best album, so many different types of awards. And she is, let's see, how many albums do you have out now? It's like 21 albums. And the thing that's so amazing about Sonia is that she's been able to say yes to what the universe has asked her to do in a really powerful way that has touched lives, transformed lives, healed, sent out such a powerful message. And it's such an honor for me to really welcome her. So please help me welcome my good friend, Sonia of Disappear Fear.
Thank you. I think that's the most amazing introduction I've ever gotten in my
Oh my goodness, Sonia, it's so great to see you and to just you've been my inspiration since I was 20 years old, and you're still my inspiration. And I know that you're an inspiration all around the world, but not only just for your music, but for who you are and the fact that when in my work with Mother Mary says the definition of a saint is somebody who says absolute yes to what God's asking them to do. And that's you. Like, you've said the biggest, loudest yes to what the universe is asking you to do. So I'm just so grateful to be able to have you here and to introduce you to other people. So it's so great to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You are an inspiration to me as well.
Thank
I think
you,
it's pretty amazing that both of us follow our path.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I always like to ask my guests the very first question, and I know you have a very deep spiritual connection, but what is your definition of a miracle?
Okay, just as you mentioned that you were going to ask me that first, I've been my brain has been flooding with things. The first thing that I thought of, though, was just to share the idea of what Albert Einstein said, that you can either live I don't know, I haven't, maybe other people have said this, but that you can even live your life as nothing is a miracle, or you can live your life as if everything is. And clearly we choose the latter because, and I think too, as an American, that will show me, that kind of, religious, spiritual versus actuality or physical evidence also plays a part in it, just because, that's how we're taught in school, and you can feel the earth beneath you, and what do you mean, but then again, there's the Little Prince, the most important, Saint Exupery, there's the most important things are invisible to the eye. So that's true too, but somewhere between those things, I mean, one time it was Hanukkah, and we had to drive down to North Carolina to see Terry's nephew, Jason, because he was shipping out the next day to Afghanistan. And it was also the first night of Hanukkah. And this huge snowstorm happened. And the fact that we didn't spin out so many we couldn't get off the highway because so many semis 18-wheelers had, spun off over the on the ramps, getting off or getting on or whatever. And so it was really dangerous. Well, anyway, we made it down to North Carolina on a quarter of a tank of gas.
Wow.
It was just amazing that we didn't have to get off the highway. It was a van that normally got 23 miles to the hour. So it was just it was definitely a miracle. But that's a whomper
That's a
miracle.
Hanukkah miracle. It's like the quarter of a tank of gas lasted the whole time.
Right. Or I can name another one, which is my phone had 1%. What happened was we were in Sydney. This is just last year. I mean, this is these are like definite scientifical proven miracles. I had 1% of power left on my phone, and I mentioned it to Terry, but I had it in my pocket, and we were getting onto a subway to go someplace. We had just gotten into Australia. And she got on the subway and the doors closed and I was not on the subway and I had 1%. So I was like, oh no, I didn't know where she was going. I didn't know how to get to where it was. I wasn't sure what stop it was and we couldn't communicate but then as I was in my craziness, she actually called, it actually rang and said, stay where you are, I'm coming back. So, and it worked out and then, but in those few seconds and then, then that was it. But the 1% just happened to like last for that. You know what I mean? Cause it can just, you pick up your phone and then it just dies.
It just dies, right? Totally.
So I have a zillion things like that. I have, when I wrote the song, well, actually I'll demonstrate it when I do the song, Won't Let Go, because that song in my life, what birthed that song was absolutely a miracle.
Yeah. Good. I'm excited. I'm excited to hear that.
Cool.
All right. Well, let's let people know who you are in terms of your story. So our listeners are highly sensitive, highly creative. A lot of them are spiritual entrepreneurs. And, what I've found is that a lot of people don't take the leap to becoming entrepreneurs with their creativity. They have a really hard time trusting and saying yes. And I'm wondering if you could share with us the turning point for you that helped you to say yes to what you feel like is your calling. All these years later, it's like, it just seems like it's your life. But I know there was a time where you made a very conscious decision to say yes.
Absolutely. As a kid, you look, or I did look to my parents to, do something that, was steady and regular and, so that I'm going to be safe and that sort of thing. And it just kept coming back to what I love to do. And it was really just a conversation I had with Cindy. And that was like, well, you write great songs. Maybe you could do that. Why don't you do that? And that's when I was 19. And I at that point, I think I was 19. And, so that was sort of the thing. I did go to college after that but I would use all my, my grant money. I bought a guitar, I bought speakers so that I could play with a band, the big kind of speakers. And it was just, So, everything kind of pointed to that. But I there's a thing too that's really empowered me lately that really spoke to me. And it was from, Rabbi Ben. So so what it was the Torah portion for last Saturday it's a very, sensual poem about Israel and God, Israel loving God and God loving Israel. And, there's a point in it that he spoke about that says, I was sleeping, but my heart was awake. And that applies to so many things. And what the sleeping means is like I was confident, but I was cozy in bed. And you can say that like with your life, like you're cozy in bed, you don't want to get out, but opportunity is knocking, because God was knocking at the door, and that your heart was awake, 'cause like you knew there was something there. But, so basically, I guess the bottom line was opportunity is not convenient, right? I mean, but it's so rewarding. And that's really where the moments of our life and the magic shows up. Like you can't figure it out. It's not guaranteed money in the bank. It's not guaranteed anything, but that's, we're not here very long anyway. So, I mean, you might as well live as best as as much as you can follow your heart.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you were like doing the singer-songwriter thing. You had a band in your 20s and all of that, but you also have a call to political activism, speaking up, waking people up, helping people to understand things. I mean, your hero, Phil Oakes was very much that kind of a singer-songwriter. So then right around at the end of your 20s, it shifted from just being in a band to your current band, which is Disappear Fear. And so tell people what Disappear Fear means, because I know that that's the essence of really your heart, is that message.
Yeah, and no one needs to learn it more than I do.
Yeah.
No matter how much I push it away, seems like. Well, what happened was I was writing songs, and I was in a band, and we would do some cover songs, and we did a lot of my songs, but they were like formula songs. And I went to see a Jane Siberry concert, and I just loved her music, and it was so weird. And
Yeah.
I kept turning people on to her music because I just thought she was amazing. This is her first album,
Yeah.
No Borders Here. And I guess maybe I started writing something that was really real, a real song, really what I needed to say and really what I needed to discover. And I will say that my journey is figured out through my songs. It's like, because when I'm writing it, it's this conduit of energy and pure truth. And it's like in the good times, I don't really get in the way of that. Like,
Yeah.
My limitations of my body or my thoughts about myself or any kind of judgments. It's just like, wow, it's just like breath, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And materializing that into frequencies. So I didn't want to I guess I just also got in touch with that. That's who I want to be. Like, this is another thing that happened, is that this woman named Mary Pat Hughes called me and said she went to see a really cool concert, but that it was like, how could we make something that would bring in, lesbians and that really empowering feeling of, yay, we're women, or we're women and that's cool, into really good music, not just music that would speak to the idea of coming out and or being, in the past, right, abused as a lesbian or whatever. And so we created this, like Mary Pat said, let's just create this really great all women kick-ass band. And all of those things, I think, together form that. But I mean, we were a kick-ass band, but we really weren't out about, there was no one that was out about,
right,
who they really loved, and that it was really, no one said, yeah, you know what, it's really okay to be gay in the real world, not just to the lesbian community, but to just be,
right.
And that was the of Disappear Fear. When you disappear fear between people, what you have is love, and that doesn't discriminate between the LGBT community and the H community, as in heterosexual. I mean, it's just, we just are, and what your gender is, I know that there are psychological and physiological things, indoor and outdoor plumbing,
Yes.
And chromosomes and all that stuff. But that said, the essence of our molecules and our beingness is divine. And that divinity doesn't discriminate.
I love that. I'm going to write that down. Divinity doesn't discriminate. Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, like, you can look at anything and any words that really are of value, whether it's like Emily Dickinson or Nelson Mandela, they spoke what was coming through to them, whether they were in prison or writing at a small desk or hiding, Yeah. It's like, it's in the listening.
Yeah.
In the hearing.
I was there when you were making the shift into Disappear Fear. And I remember having conversations about it. And one of the things that you had shared with me that has always stuck with me is you were like, all right, if I'm going to create something, like, rather than just doing a formula of what I think other people are going to like, what do I really want my life to be about? What do I want when I'm gone, what do I want to leave here that I think is going to have the most impact? And that's when you were like, I really think it's that disappear fear, because if we could disappear fear, like you said, between people and within ourselves, then everything's possible, because that's the energy. And I've seen you live that as best as you can. Obviously, you're still learning, I'm still learning, but it's been a guiding force for me as well. This idea of, people say, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And it's such a really important question to ask yourselves, because I think that is informing our choices more than we realize, the fact that we're afraid. And it's okay to be afraid, but just don't be unconscious about the fact that you're afraid.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think of that, like, that's the essence of it right there. And I remember our conversation as well. We were outside UMBC in that little garden area.
I remember.
Which is like mostly concrete and like a couple trees. Right. And I think we were having lunch, and actually we were, but I also think, or a snack or something, but that's like maybe like one of the few times in my life where I remember the conversation more than the food. It's like, always remember the food. I'm not kidding. Like, that's like, people remember what she wore, what it smelled like.
But I remember the food.
I remember it too. And if I don't, it means there was something else, much more significant.
Yeah. Well, that was a turning point, because you also were contemplating leaving your day job and doing this full time. And there was a lot of fear around that. You were you're like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to need to come out. And there was some fear around that. Like, this was before the Indigo Girls were like, this was before everything. You were really a trailblazer, and like, I'm gonna sing my truth. I'm gonna be who I am and really own that. And so you've been able to do that. And nowadays, I mean, you're all over the world. I know that you tour not only in the United States. I mean, this is obviously pre-COVID, but you were talking about Australia, really big in Germany. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about how Disappear Fear manifested for you with going to Germany, because I know you didn't want to go. You had some fear about going.
I didn't. I was raised, to fear the Nazis. I mean, in Germany, it was like there was no difference when that was just not good. And that's a place, there's just the degree of evil was just is like just unbelievable. And it clearly it is unbelievable to some people, because they want to say that it never happened. Right. But it did happen. And the Holocaust happened, and it's certainly impacted the Jewish population and Jewish theology, and it transformed the world to the fact that Jews got to have a Jewish state where they knew that there would be a place when and if, and I suppose it's more of a when, that there was that kind of fear penetrated into human beings again, to be able to scapegoat a section of society to blame for all the problems of the world, that they have a haven to go to, that I have a haven to go to.
Yeah. You
can come too.
Okay.
and your followers. Anyway, so that's thinking.
So it was a big deal to go to Germany, because you had a lot of stories and a lot of fear about, if I go to this place.
And early on, what happened was this. Germany's awesome. I mean, it's a very transformative place for me, because yes, I was definitely, and I couldn't stop seeing the past when I was there. You go there and you see the railroad tracks, and you think, how many cars went over these tracks that took my ancestors to a concentration camp, or they died in the cars getting there, or I mean, I've been to the Holocaust Museum in of course in Washington DC, and you actually smell the smells of the pile of shoes, and it's like, it's unbelievable. And I've been there 12 or 13 times. I've been going there for 12 years. This is the first spring in 12 years that I haven't been in Germany in the spring. It started with the guitar company that I love, and is my other religion, Santa Cruz Guitars, which this is a Parker. This is an awesome guitar as well. It's different. But the Santa Cruz was created by Richard Hoover, and Richard was selling Santa Cruz was selling more Santa Cruz in Germany than almost like the whole rest of the world, because people buy them there.
Yeah.
And also people come from like Singapore and everywhere to buy them at that. It's it's like his store, was in Frankfurt, Germany. So he wanted me to come because there's the Sonia Santa Cruz model, which is like kind of like an early Gibson and personalized towards me and made now with an old wood, and they're awesome guitars.
Yeah.
And I'm so blessed to have that. And that came about pretty early in my career, about 5 years into my career. Richard and I developed a relationship and he made this guitar. So, and then 20 years after that, no, 10 years after that, he made the Sonia model because people were asking for it. So you can get that model guitar. But right now I have it hydrating because it's guitars are wood and they're always alive, and so they change during the winter, and the winter was super dry. So right now it's getting a spa.
My guitar's at the spa.
My guitar's at the spa, exactly. And then
That's awesome.
the wood, so because the neck moves,
Yeah,
I learned all this stuff from John Thurston, my guitar doctor, yesterday, and I was bringing guitars with different symptoms and things, and he told me what to do. So that's what's happening with that one right now. But it's at the spa. Germany. So one of the early things that happened when I was there, I'll just share this with you quickly, was I was asked by the South African guy in the hall, in the foyer, or the kind of like the lobby area of this hotel, and everything. The hotel was like 3 stories, and it had a winding marble staircase. So it was really loud. So if you had a conversation there, you could hear it like throughout the hotel. But anyway, and he asked me, he said, Rutstein, is this German or is this Jewish? And I said, that's the wrong accent, actually. And I said, Jewish. And I kept hearing it. And we went back up into the room. And he had no issue. I mean, it wasn't like, it was just like, oh, okay, you're American Jewish, got it. And then Terry said, but you're also German. And I said, she goes, your name, Rutstein is German. There's German roots. You're both. And I said, you're right, I'm both. I am both. I am the thing that I've been running away from.
Yeah.
And there you can just run off with those metaphors, can't you? And that reality, because I am German. My grandfather was from Romania, but his name is Rutstein. It's 100% German. It means root stone. It's like the cornerstone in a building. Mm-hmm. Anyway, which I love. I love that grounding thing, and it's exactly what I need, because I tend to fly off at times a lot. So anyway, that's the story. Germany's awesome. I love it. I've made such close friendships there.
So you faced your fear of going, and it opened up an amazing, I think it's a miraculous door that's opened up for you there, because they love you. Why wouldn't they love you?
We're family.
But it's been healing. Yeah, we're family. I love that. And it's been so healing for you.
It is. And also I'm really proud of it too, because what I feel, this is me saying this, and I think probably would be accepted throughout the world maybe in 200 years, is that the culture that's of Germany, the perfection and the calling of that, whatever the engineering is of cars or of medicine or of anything that they really go into with great detail, is amazing. And that pedanticness, and I'm sure there's another word too that I'm not hitting on right now, is like it's like the Torah. It's like really following it, not cutting corners, not being lazy, not taking the easy road. It's really doing it full on to the best human degree possible in those details. And because if you, for me, I suppose I'm learning about Judaism more. A lot of it has to do with the COVID because I have time to, but a lot of it is just in my life because I'm listening, and I'm finding so much great resource with it. Yeah. And living it more consciously.
Yeah.
And so I see the parallels between the two cultures.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, speaking of family and speaking of listening, why don't you give us some music?
Maybe I'll start with "Waking Up Your Heart."
Okay.
These are all heart songs for some reason. This one is waking up your heart, just feeling like, I wish I could do this, so. I woke up this morning crying, but the sun was shining, saying don't cry. And who am I to think it's shining for me? It might as well be, 'cause I am for you. Wanna give you my heart, hope and hands. On everything my life depends. I'll be for you, given the chance. And I promise not to tell. I'll hide my feelings well. Oh, of how miserably I failed, waking up your heart. It's not anything you say, and yet it's everything like you. Wanna give you my heart, hope and hands. On everything my life depends. I'll be for you, given a chance. And I promise not to tell. I'll hide my feelings well. Oh, of how miserably I failed, waking up your heart. Wanted to tell you exactly how I feel, but a long time ago, God and I made a deal. So I promise not to tell. I'll hide my feelings well. Oh, of how miserably I failed, waking up your heart. Waking up your heart. Waking up your heart.
Yay!
Thank you. Thank you. The next one is The Princess and the Honeybee.
So what's the story of this song?
I went to Denmark to help lead as a professional songwriter a songwriter retreat, and it's called the Listening Room, and it's organized by this guy named Brett Perkins, and he has his dream. Speaking of dreams, was to be able to have 7 songwriter retreats one each year in different parts of the world. And he does. He has one on Inisheer Island in Ireland. He has one on an island off the coast of Copenhagen, and I can't think of the name of the island, but that's where this was written. He has one in California and one now, I think, in Florence, Italy. He just has and it's so cool because he finds these places that are pretty much nothing else is going on, so you're not really distracted. I mean, you could, go out to a pub or whatever, or something like that. But also at times of the year when you may not go to those places, so it might be cold and rainy or whatever, or sometimes it's funny, I think, just to tease him. It's beautiful. So you want to be outside just kind of hanging out. But that adds to great songwriting too. So, and you're just with a core group of songwriters, probably like around 20 people, 20, 25. And he chooses, you get paired up with different people, except on the last day, you get to choose who you want to write with. And this guy named Casper, Kasper, really wanted to write with me, and I was really glad because I really wanted to write with him too. He mostly speaks Danish and very little English, although he understands English perfectly, very well. He just doesn't like to speak it a lot. And his main instrument is piano. But he plays a little guitar. Anyway, we got together one morning, the morning I was leaving. It was Thursday morning, and the conference started on Sunday, so we all sort of paraded into this kind of like a B&B in Denmark. And so, and you do a song a day is what you do, is you pair up with someone and, you get together with them in the morning, you refine it hopefully in the afternoon, and the nighttime you have to perform it for the group, the 2 writers or 3 writers. So anyway, so we got together and I had to leave actually that afternoon, so I wasn't able to perform it with him that night. But what happened was there was this place had a wedding earlier the afternoon on Sunday before we got there. And so in the main area, there was a white rose in a vase on each of the tables in the room. And I would just walk by them each day. And most of them were kind of aging, drying out, getting, the petals were bending and getting brown and falling off. But there was this one rose that was as pristine and vibrant 4 or 5 days later as it was on that Sunday when they all looked that way. So I picked it up that morning, that Thursday morning, and put it on the table in front of me, in the center of the table between me and Casper. And I said, "Once upon a rose lived a very little princess." And then the song we just took that statement and wrote this song out of that. Like, we made up the story together.
Awesome. I love that. I never knew that story. Okay.
Yeah. So this is The Princess and the Honeybee.
All right.
Once upon a rose lived a very little princess, ruling all alone, all settled on her throne. She was the queen of everything that she could see. Then she fell in love with the honeybee. Every day at dawn, as the sun lit up the petals, the honeybee would come and find the rose's tongue. She'd say hello, but he'd ignore her and just go. He was so busy, he'd miss the kisses she would blow. Waiting, waiting, queen of all the garden, but she can't make him fall in love. One day she was gone, and at first he didn't notice, but slowly he began to feel the coldness of the morn. He never knew of all the love she felt for him. And so it goes, we'll never know what could have been.
Oh, yay. What a great story. I love that. So sweet.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
You want to do one more?
Yeah. I'll do Won't Let Go.
So there's a miracle attached to this story?
Yes, absolutely. My two miracles, really. One is that my dad was having surgery, having a big part of his lungs removed, 1/3 of his lungs removed, and I was stuck on the song. I had the story of the song, but I didn't know where it was going to be going. And in some songs, I find that I really just have to wait for an epiphany. And that's what happened with this. I was literally sitting on the floor in my friend's house in Nashville, and Franklin, actually, and I heard my father's voice on the answering machine in the next room, and that was the morning after the surgery. I talked to my stepmother, so I knew he lived, he made it through it, but to hear his voice was just like coming home. So there's that. That's the real epiphany of the song. But prior to that, what sort of launched the song was that when I was about 5 or 6, probably about 6, I had just gotten my training wheels off my bike and I could balance and ride, and my street was flat and it was a dead end, so there was very little traffic on it, so you could play in the street and most of the hours of the day and there'd be no problem, so I rode my bike up and down my street. Well, this was a Saturday or a Sunday, and my dad said, let's go off the street, let's can you know how to use the brakes and everything on the bike? And I'm like, yeah, but I didn't actually. I would just sort of either jump off the bike when because it was a flat street,
Right.
and or put my feet out to
feet down,
like Fred Flintstone to slow it down. It worked for Fred, it worked for me. So so we went off my street, and the next street was Lightfoot Drive, and I took a right off of the street, and I was really building up speed because it was an incline, and it was a big incline to me in my brain and my memory of it. It was like almost like a 90-degree, but it was now looking at it, it's probably about a 40-degree when I see it, because it's not very far from where I'm living right now. But anyway, I was going. There was a car behind me. I could hear there was a car about to turn into me. And I was like between them and out of control and going 1,000 miles an hour as a 6-year-old on my two-wheeler and trying to balance. And I saw there's sort of like a gaggle of people, adults talking. And I was like screaming, Dad, Dad. And he was like, the brakes, use the brakes. And I was like, what? And he was on a bike behind me. So I don't know how he would have, anyway, but thank God. One of the man in this group of people lunged into the street and grabbed me off my bike as I was pummeling 100 miles an hour down the street, and my bike flew out and I was fine, and he saved my life.
Wow.
So that's the story of it.
I love it. This is one of my favorites. Thank you for playing it.
The very first time I was learning to ride, without training wheels or you by my side, down a steep hill I took a ride. There was a car coming at me and one from behind, and you said, don't let go, just hold on, keep your eye on the road and your heart in a song. Whatever happened is already gone. Don't let go. Don't let go. Then when I was 10, you gave me a guitar. And I said, Dad, I'm gonna be a big star. And you said, son, you better practice real hard. But to me, you already are. And don't let go. Just hold on, keep your eye on the road and your heart in a song. Whatever happened is already gone. Don't let go. Don't let go. Then she took you to the doctor, get you checked out, see what that headache was really about. And when he returned, I feared news would be bad. Now I'm saying these words to you, Dad. Don't let go. Just hold on, keep your eye on the road and your heart in a song. Whatever happened is already gone. Don't let go. Don't let go. Then I heard your voice, all my fear disappeared. And I know exactly why we are here. It's for this moment to recognize that you will always be by my side, and I won't let go. I'm holding on, got my eyes on the road and my heart in a song. Whatever happened is already gone. I won't let go. I won't let go. I'm holding on, got my eyes on the road and my heart in a song. Whatever happened is already gone. I won't let go. I won't let go. I won't let go.
Yay!
Thank you.
So awesome. So let's help people find you and let's talk about what's coming up next for you. So if they want to find all this great music, you can go to soniadisappearfear.com. It's all one run together, and I'll put that in the show notes as well. But soniadisappearfear.com. And you're getting ready to be on tour second half of the year, right? You're finally going to be back and doing stuff. Is that right? Because you've been in COVID lockdown, right?
Well, the tour and the next tour that I'm scheduled for at this point is Germany. Next, I think it starts in I think October 3rd is my first show. So October and November and December, I'm in Germany.
Yeah. But you have something coming up in April that I think is an online
I do.
concert?
I have an online, it's Lesbian Visibility Day on April 26th. There'll be a live concert on my Facebook page, which is free, and it is Sonia Disappear Fear. So
on Facebook, okay.
There's
I'll put that in
and
there
then
too.
I have a show at the Lirio Larendium. Lerodium. Okay. It's on my website under tour, and it might even be on the front page of the website too. So, or under events that are coming up. I should have that in front of me, but I don't. I'm sorry, and I just turned off my phone.
That's okay.
That's I believe in May, and then I have a concert in June. Yeah, that's a Zoom concert, so that'll be awesome. I mean, not Zoom. It'll also be, I think, on a Facebook page, and I think it's free also. where
Awesome.
you can see it. And that's going to be cool. And also have a concert with a Turkish artist who's very, very popular in Turkey. He has like over 1 million hits, like
Awesome.
1.5 million hits on his YouTube videos. So I can tell that's a lot of hits. And he's
Yeah.
got a beautiful voice. So I'm very excited about that. And one of the places actually that I'm going to be playing and in fact, she would be an awesome person for you to speak with. She is amazing. She is the person who started what we would consider liberal or reform. In Judaism, we would call it Reform Judaism. So she's opened up the religion of Muslim to women. You can lead services. She opened a
Wow.
mosque in Berlin,
I would
and
love to
women
talk
can
to her.
pray on the
Oh,
floor with everybody else on the carpet. And she's the leader of the service, and she's a woman, and she is
wow.
from originally from, I think she's originally from Afghanistan, but she might originally be from Turkey. I'm not
Okay.
actually positive.
I'd love to
She and I
connect with
spoke the
her.
other day. She speaks impeccable English, and I am going to be performing at her mosque when I'm back
Wow.
in Germany. So I'm really excited about that. I'll be performing at a church I know of, at a synagogue in Freudenthal, which is also a first, and then I'll be at this mosque in Berlin, which is also a first. So
I love
it's a
it.
really cool setting. I mean, of course I love playing in bars and theaters and everything, but I have to say, like, the churches have the church I know has amazing acoustics, and actually the synagogue does too.
Yeah.
I've been there before just to sort of look into it, and it's not far from where I'm going to be staying too. So it's it's wine country, so there's all kinds of asparagus and wine vines, grapes.
So cool. So I'm seeing behind you CDs, I'm seeing T-shirts, I'm seeing all kinds of beautiful merchandise, and so all of this is available on your website, right? If people want to.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm wearing my infamous
Love Out Loud
Love
T-shirt.
Out Loud T-shirt, which I love
that.
this one. You can see the shelves behind me are pretty full, so please, yes. We have hoodies, they're tie-dyed, or we have solid colors. Everything we have solid colors like black and white, or a solid blue or gray, or we have the distressed vintage ones, that sort of look like marbleized, sort of,
Great. So if people want to really embody the idea of Disappear Fear, they can actually wear it.
The highest quality of T-shirt too. It's they're thick T-shirts. They will last for decades, and they're awesome. And we have little children sizes. We started, I think, we start at 2 to 4. Like, I think 2 years old is the smallest one. But we also have bibs and onesies.
I was going to say, I've seen onesies.
Yeah, we have onesies for the little ones. We actually, I don't know if we have any more of those, but we had like adult onesies. Cindy has an adult onesie, which is really, really cool. That pink one. And they're so cozy because they're like that fleecy kind of stuff on the inside. You'll never want to get out of it. It's the perfect COVID attire, actually, now that we're coming out of COVID. But awesome. It is for the winter. It's just like the thing you just want to be in. And we have friends in Germany that got it, and they look so adorable.
Great.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have all that, and it would be wonderful if for people to get it, and we have. Yeah, that would be, and beanies too. We have beanies, and because it snowed yesterday in Germany and Holland and hailed. The weather that we got like last week on the East Coast, they got now, and so it's kind of but for them it's April and it's snowing.
Awesome. So if anybody's interested in any of that beautiful merchandise, or you want to buy some CDs or get the MP3 downloads, you can go to soniadisappearfear.com/store. And again, I'll put that in the show notes as well. Anything else you want to leave us with before we close our interview today, our time together, which has been so fun?
Thank you. I can't wait to share this podcast with lots of people, and I'm so glad that our friendship has survived, thrived, and flourished through all this time. You are a forever beautiful light in my life, like a light blue. And I love the painting behind you because I see the movement in it, and I love it. It's so gathering and giving.
Yeah, that's Deepa's painting. Deepa painted
I
that
love
one.
it. I love
Yeah.
it. It's just it's living.
Yeah, it is. It totally is. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, my friend. I love you and I appreciate you so, so much. And I really appreciate your time.
I love you.
All right. So to all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. This is such a treat to be able to connect with another artist who's really living and doing her dream and her path and her purpose. And I hope that you received as much inspiration today as I did. I feel so filled up. My inner artist is just so, so happy. So if you did like this episode, please let your friends know about it. If you could leave a review, that would help me out so, so much. And always remember that the key to magnifying your miracles is to know that your miracle is already here. Thank you, my friends. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. I'm so grateful to be able to spend this time with you. If you want even more inspiration, feel free to visit my website, francisfaden.com or magnifyyourmiracles.com. And if you did enjoy this episode, I would really appreciate it if you left a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever it is that you connect with awesome podcasts. Remember, the key to magnifying your miracles is remembering that your miracle is already here.